Hello, this is Dr. Michael Greger coming to you live from my treadmill for my monthly Q&A, here to take your questions live. Just finished up a Facebook Live, now over here on YouTube. For those of you unfamiliar with my work, every year I read through every issue of every English language nutrition journal in the world, so busy folks like you don't have to. I then compile all the most interesting, most groundbreaking, most practical findings, new videos and articles I upload every day to my website, NutritionFacts.org, to my nonprofit site, NutritionFacts.org. Everything on the website is free. There are no ads, no corporate sponsorship, strictly non-commercial, not selling anything, just put it up as a public service, as a labor of love, as a tribute to my grandmother, who started me down this path, and is why I'm a doctor and why I'm practicing lifestyle medicine like I am today. All right. Well, I'm going to start at the top of all your questions and get as far as I possibly can. In the half hour we have, Jamie asked, black seed oil has the title cure for everything but death. Have I heard of it? You are talking about thymiquinone, something like that. Is Nigella something or other. Black cumin seed, often taken as black cumin seed oil. Indeed, I was shocked to find out that there are dozens of peer-reviewed English language scientific papers on this stuff. And indeed, as you can see, my dog Rose is as excited as I am to read through all those articles and do a whole series of videos about it. And I will let you know if it is just snake oil or actually something that's useful. We will find out together. Ronnie asks, love to hear my opinions on digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes are great, which is why your pancreas makes all that you need. So you shouldn't have to actually take any in pill form. Posea, I'm sorry if I've been mispronouncing your name. Fruits after meal, good or bad? Fruits before a meal, fruits during a meal, fruits after a meal. Fruits are always good. Now, there are better fruits than others. So berries are the healthiest fruits. I encourage people to eat berries every single day. One of my daily dozen checklist of all the things I encourage people to get into their daily diet. Where can you find a list of this daily dozen? Check out the free app on Apple and Android, Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, and you can follow your progress. Alicia says, hello, curious about dental health and milk. Is it necessary? Dentist and WHO support dairy consumption, but Alicia is vegan and would like resources that don't include milk consumption. So I have not reviewed the literature on dental health and dairy. However, I have reviewed, so I assume they're talking about calcium and the calcified dentin, the calcified, tooth tissue. And I have reviewed the bone health data, and dairy consumption does not reduce one's risk of bone fracture. Whether you're drinking as a teen, whether you're drinking as an adult, doesn't matter, does not work. If you look at any recent meta-analysis. In fact, I did a recent video about this new Swedish study, which suggests an increased risk of hip fracture for those women drinking the most milk, so more milk, more fractures. So I assume if it doesn't help with the rest of your skeleton, other calcified tissues, that it wouldn't help with your teeth either. Something I haven't looked into, though. But I do have a bunch of videos on dental health and people eating plant-based diets. And people eating plant-based diets tend to have better dental health, like less cavities, but with one exception. That is, they may have more enamel erosion because people eating healthy diets are eating more acidic foods like fruits, like citrus fruits. So I encourage people, after eating or drinking anything acidic, anything sour, to rinse your mouth out with water so as to not erode your enamel. The worst thing you can do is brush your teeth right after an acidic food or drink. Think, oh, I got to get this acid off my teeth. Your enamel is then in a softened state, and you can actually do more damage. So it's just rinsing your mouth out with water after drinking something acidic and waiting at least an hour before brushing your teeth. Maria says, hello. Hello, Maria. Is there a relationship with sugar intake? Oh, and depression. What's the best treatment for Crohn's? And will someone who's on Crohn's have to be on meds for the rest of their life? Sugar intake and depression. I don't know of any data. I have not looked into it. One could do a super quick. Should we do it right now? Let me do a super quick PubMed search for sugar in the title and depression. And we'll look for a meta-analysis, see what happens. All right, so PubMed, for those who don't know, it's your tax dollars hard at work. It's the database of the National Library of Medicine, the largest medical library in the world, and it's free. And you can go to pubmed.gov, G-O-V, and search for anything. Now, it doesn't mean you can actually get access to those articles, but if you ever find something that you'd like to find and can't find, let me know, and I will pull it for you because I live near the National Institutes of Medicine and National Institutes of Health, which has the Institute of Medicine, and the library. Unfortunately, here I am bragging about this awesome website, and it seems to be down right now. Maybe it's just because all the bandwidth I'm taking up in the video, my browser doesn't want to take me to that site. But anyway, you can look it up yourself and find out. I know I don't have any videos on it. What is the best treatment for Crohn's? The best treatment for Crohn's is a plant-based diet, the most powerful intervention in terms of relapse prevention. So there's a study showing that a more plant-based diet, people randomized to a more plant-based diet, 90% still in remission 2 years later, or was that 1 year later? Really exciting results. So just type in Crohn's and NutritionFacts.org, get all that information. And whether or not you'd have to be on meds for the rest of your life depends on your disease process, but it's quite possible. It's a nasty inflammatory bowel disease. Unknown person asks, are eggs good or bad for you? And the answer is foods are not so much good or bad, but better or worse. So, for example, for breakfast, are eggs good for you? Compared to breakfast sausage, yes. Compared to bacon, compared to processed meats, category 1 carcinogens, yes. But compared to oatmeal, no. Certainly not. And so if you have the choice, if you were living on a desert island with just breakfast sausage or eggs would be healthier. But if you live anywhere where oatmeal or any other healthier breakfast is available, then I would minimize one's intake for eggs because of their concentrations of cholesterol and choline. And you can look at all my videos on eggs and TMAO for the choline piece. Nicole asks, what's the best choice of drinking water? Spring or distilled? Nicole is assuming not tap. You are assuming wrong. I drink carbon filtered tap water, so that's a plain carbon filter like a Brita filter, pure filter, just to clean up the taste, get rid of some of the chlorination byproducts. But tap water is maybe the healthiest choice in many communities. May actually have a better microbial and chemical quality compared to some bottled waters. But then again, you may be in Flint, Michigan or something, where they had lead problems. I mean, so certainly it's not necessarily the case, but for most people, tap water is the healthiest choice. And so tap water, green tea, and hibiscus tea would be my 3 top choices for beverages. Rob asks, been on a whole food plant-based diet. Blood levels are great. Blood levels of what? I'm not sure, but great. I'm glad. Cold hands, though. Cold hands, feet, and stiffness in the back. Had low B12. And say, wait a second, but I take methylcobalamin every week. Well, you have not been following my work. And didn't see my B12 videos. My recommendations for cyanocobalamin, not methylcobalamin. Why? methylcobalamin isn't stable on the shelf, and so you never know what you're going to get. You have to take huge amounts every day if you are going to go the methyl route. Cyanocobalamin is stable. That's why they make the cyanocobalamin. So if you were instead taking that much cyanocobalamin, you would not be B12 deficient. And so I would encourage you to switch immediately and get retested. And you get retested using a methylmalonic acid level, not a serum B12 level. Though if you have 217 picomoles per liter, you are low regardless. And I'm glad you got it figured out before you had serious, irreversible neurological damage. Whoever told you to take methylcobalamin should watch my videos. Rob, the same Rob asks, good. Rob says, I'm now taking cyanocobalamin every day. Wonderful. Well, your B12 levels should come right back up and you should be all set. Wonderful. Oh, I love that. Instant feedback. Philip Cunningham asks, whoa, no. Okay. There may be some cool internet speak that I'm just not down with. But I do understand the second part of the question. Can I recommend foods for treating anxiety disorder? I think the only video I have on generalized, well, no, actually I have a couple. One on lavender for generalized anxiety disorder, and the other one, butternut squash seeds, those two. But I have more videos on anxiety coming up, and apologize for not having more. Most of that is a function of just not having a lot of good research on mental health and nutrition, but I know that's something that's of great value to people, and so I actively seek out, and I know I have some more anxiety videos coming up. Stay tuned. Philip says that he is now cooking my pesto pasta recipe. From Lighter. Fantastic. I have a cookbook coming out. The How Not to Die cookbook will be out December 2017. You say, well, wait a second. I can't wait that long. I want recipes now. Filled with green light recipes, green light ingredients. Well, if you go to Lighter, so lighter.com, presumably, click on my profile, has a whole bunch of recipes that are kind of tailored to my specifications. And if you don't want to eat that healthy, you can click on someone else's profile and see whatever they eat. But anyway, yeah, so check it out. They are a great organization. Okay, Richard asks, what's the ideal amount of pepper to go with a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric? So the reason, presumably Richard's asking about pepper, is that piperine, this so-called active ingredient of black pepper, actually suppresses your liver's ability to detoxify compounds such as curcumin, the purported active ingredient of turmeric, such that it maintains higher blood levels. So you can actually kind of increase the bioavailability of turmeric by about 2,000% by eating black pepper with it. Now, it doesn't matter if you're talking about using turmeric for some kind of intestinal disorder, or if you're using it for ulcerative colitis or some kind of inflammatory bowel disease. It doesn't matter if it gets absorbed or not, because it presumably has a local effect right there, so it doesn't matter if you're eating black pepper. But if you want it for some kind of systemic effect, black pepper should increase levels. And indeed, the cultures that eat turmeric, like the Indian subcontinent, actually add black pepper to curry powder, for example. And that may be one of the reasons why they have such low disease rates of, for example, colon cancer, Alzheimer's, etc. In terms of how much, it doesn't take a lot. So just culinary doses. That's why I actually recommend the 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. That's how much. That's the average culinary dose in a place like in a country like India. And so we have a long history of safety, and they, add black pepper to taste, and you can certainly do that as well. Bill asks, we need a series on fasting. Oh boy, do I have plans about fasting. I have a whole long series of videos coming up about water-only fasting, intermittent fasting, so much fasting, you are going to be sick of fasting. So, yep, stay tuned. And you say, wait a second, what if I miss it? No, well, just make sure you're subscribed so you can sign up at NutritionFacts.org to get daily, weekly, or monthly email alerts as to when new videos come out, so you can see if you're interested in them. Then you'll never miss anything. All right, WSTT4 asks, Any suggestions on how to reduce gas? Intestinal gas. So hopefully plant-based diets may difficult to eat with friends because they get a lot of gas. And so certainly there are some things one can tweak about one's diet. You can take a dietary record and see if there's any foods in particular that are gas-forming for you. I encourage you to check out my blog. I have a good blog that answers that question directly. It talks about certain legumes, certain foods that are less gas-forming than others. And I got videos about it too. And so there's certain beans, for example, that are more gas-forming than others. And so you can stick to those that have less of that side effects. And worst comes to worst, you could use, there's these indigestible sugars in certain foods that can be used by gut bacteria to create gas, and you can break those sugars down with various enzyme products, so Beano, and there's some other ones on the market now, if it is a problem that you cannot otherwise tweak. But the worst thing you do is stop eating healthy foods. That would be the worst possible thing. So anything you do to keep eating healthy would be the way to go. All right. Bill is back and asks, will a whole food plant-based diet help with IBS? Irritable bowel syndrome. The Irritable Bowel Syndrome Association says no. That is no surprise. For example, the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation, I don't know their exact name, but they say diet has nothing to do with it, even though the swank diet was the most effective intervention ever published in peer-reviewed medical literature, better than drugs, better than anything ever tried. But because it was not a randomized controlled trial, it's not included within the evidence database. What can you randomize and control? Drugs. That's why there is this kind of inherent bias in so-called evidence-based medicine for drug interventions. For good reason. Drugs can do bad things to you, so you want to have lots of robust evidence. When it comes to something as cheap, simple, easy, and safe as healthy eating, one should not need to have that kind of bar in my mind. What do I have on IBS? I've got a bunch of videos coming up talking about FODMAP diets, talking about fructooligosaccharides, and so stay tuned. I think the only one I have right now is using, I don't have one on peppermint oil on treating IBS. Oh, there's one on kiwi fruits, talking about constipation type IBS. Just type in irritable bowel syndrome into Nutrition Facts, and all the videos will come up, and I have more coming up. All right. Hosea, I'm sorry I didn't pronounce your name right, asks, what is the best cooking oil because boiling mushrooms sucks? Boiling, but who would boil a mushroom? No reason you have to boil a mushroom. You can pan saute a mushroom with a little water or a broth or brine or wine or anything. You don't have to use oil. Why not use oil? Oil is a processed food. It is the table sugar of the fat kingdom. So in the carbohydrate kingdom, you take something like a sugar beet, really healthy, remove all the nutrition, throw out the fiber, everything, you're just left with the sugar. Same thing with oil in the fat kingdom. You take something like a walnut, remove all the nutrition, the fiber, etc. You're left with just the fat, although you have some few kind of fat-soluble vitamins and nutrients left, like vitamin E. You're missing out on all that nutrition. So I encourage people to eat whole plant foods. And there's, if you just Google oil-free cooking, lots of stuff will pop up in terms of ways, and you won't even notice the difference. Now, this is not to say you should avoid fat, right? I'm saying you should avoid processed sources of fat. So whole food sources of fat, nuts, seeds, avocados, those are great and can help you absorb all these fat-soluble nutrients. Okay, I was going to say Renee, but it looks like Renate asks, high inflammation status, high dose algae omega-3 benefit or risk, treated breast cancer, chronic post-infectious syndrome, and arthritis, and with aromatase inhibitors, want to reduce inflammation. The best way to not get chronic post-infectious syndrome is to not get infected in the first place by cutting down on one's risk of food poisoning, by avoiding the number one cause of post-infectious syndrome, which is Campylobacter, which is found contaminating the majority of poultry in this country. And so we should not bring that into our house if we want to avoid these kind of long-term effects. People think of food poisoning as just kind of, 24-hour, 48-hour flu, and then you get better and you're fine. No, you can have these long-lasting years or even your whole lifetime of reactive arthritis and all sorts of bowel problems. So ideally, you should not get infected in the first place. But if you already have the problem, how can you reduce inflammation? Well, first of all, you have to, when you say high inflammation, do you have high C-reactive protein, like high white count? Well, what do you mean by high inflammation? You want to be able to test it so you can see what interventions help. The most important thing you can do is eat lots of anti-inflammatory foods, whole plant foods. The antioxidant effects are also anti-inflammatory effects for reasons I detail in my videos. And so eat a healthy diet, a whole food plant-based diet will reduce inflammation in your body and can happen rapidly. I think I have some videos like the Daniel fast diet, eating like Daniel did in the Bible. Can rapidly reduce C-reactive protein levels, even in healthy people who don't have a lot of inflammation. It can even be more dramatic in someone with rheumatoid arthritis, some kind of inflammatory condition. So I don't think you need to take high dose, 4 grams of omega-3s a day. No, I think you need anti-inflammatory foods and you should be good. Of course, you should also treat the cause, what's causing inflammation in the first place, and try to root that out. All right, Tyler Lewell says to avoid oils. That's a good idea. It doesn't matter what you eat on your birthday, on holiday, special occasions, but on a day-to-day basis, we should really try to eat clean, try to eat healthy, and that is centering our diets around whole plant foods, and oils are not whole. Stephen asks, would love to hear my thoughts on plant-based diet and hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's. There's actually a study, the Adventure study, finally looked at both hyper and hypothyroidism and found that those eating plant-based diets had significantly lower levels of abnormal thyroid function, which is nice to hear. But in terms of can you treat an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's thyroiditis with a plant-based diet, I don't think it's been put to the test, but there have been studies that have looked at dietary pattern treatments, dietary patterns, both pre-diagnostic dietary patterns in terms of the natural course, and I will be doing videos on that, so stay tuned. Victoria asks, have any drugs or dietary changes beyond veganism proven to be effective in treating and potentially reversing fibrocystic breast disease? I don't know. Let me see. Fibrocystic breast disease reversing. But there are certainly dietary patterns associated with lower risk of developing fibrocystic breast disease. Like the Harvard Nurses study looked back, kind of asked women what they ate during adolescence and tried to tie it to various benign breast diseases. But we don't have any randomized studies, interventional studies to actually put it to the test, and don't know any interventions in terms of treatment, either drug or diet related. All right, Van says, very nice things. That sweet arachnid soul asks, just says very nice things. That's very sweet. Let's get to a question. Carol asks, is there a cure, capital C-U-R-E, for asthma? And they're saying, look, I'm eating whole food plant-based and it's helped, but not 100%. And that's what the data has shown. So I have a bunch of videos on asthma, both preventing and treating, and see these absolutely remarkable effects going on a whole food plant-based diet and seeing a dramatic improvement in asthma. But these studies haven't shown that asthma goes away. It's just a way to ameliorate the flares and symptoms. And so not that I know of in terms of eliminating it, but certainly for prevention and for control, a diet can be very helpful. All right, next. Renate is back, or Renate, or however you pronounce your name. I'm sorry for butchering it. How are we so decided that oil? How do we know that oil is really bad? So much mixed evidence. The evidence doesn't look mixed to me. So, for example, look at endothelial function, artery function. You have people drink oil and their artery function gets compromised within hours of consumption, even extra virgin olive oil. That's all the evidence I need. Okay. The happy caterpillars ask, hello, spelling my name wrong, that's okay, for a 64-year-old woman on dialysis. Whoa. What'd you say? Soy is safe? Sure. Why would a doctor say, why would your doctor say to stay away from soy? We would certainly so plant protein sources would produce less of these uremic toxins that would otherwise build up. That's the reason you're on dialysis, is to filter out uremic toxins. And you would produce less by cutting down your intake of protein in general, specifically animal protein. And so I would encourage that physician to contact me or check out my videos on kidney failure and plant protein, or look at the literature. And I think they might be surprised. All right. Dominic says she has a friend suffering from Lyme disease, spelled like the citrus. Is there anything I could recommend to help them heal? Well, if they do actually have Lyme disease, there's some practitioners out there diagnosing everybody who walks in the door with Lyme disease, whether they have it or not. So first of all, you want to make sure they actually have the disease. It's typically treated with antibiotics, something like tetracycline, and can wipe it out. I presume you're talking about some kind of chronic Lyme, which is a disease entity that is controversial. And so some folks have tried long-term antibiotics, but I don't think there's good evidence to suggest that is a useful thing to do. Ulevo asks, is there any evidence about whether or not it's okay to eat before bedtime, or there are optimal times to eat throughout the day? So for most people, you can eat whenever you want. If you have GERD, acid reflux, having a big meal right before going to bed, bad thing, right? Because when you lie flat, you no longer have gravity keeping food down your stomach. And if your lower esophageal sphincter, if that sphincter at the top of your stomach isn't fully functional, and you lie down after a big meal, you can get some of the acid creeping up, which can be bad for your dental health, creep into your lungs, cause all sorts of problems. So if you have that problem, you want to not eat a big meal, period, and then certainly not right before you lie down. But other than that, I'll actually be talking about meal timing in my intermittent fasting videos, about whether or not it's healthy to actually compress your meal times down to, for example, a 6-hour period. And so you're fasting, 18 hours a day, whether or not that's good or bad for your health. Stay tuned. Looks like we got about 1 more minute left. Matthew asks, where can I get some ergothioneine? What a great question. Other than from mushrooms, not a fungi. That's about the only place you can get ergothioneine. It's produced in the fungal kingdom. So yeah, you gotta eat mushrooms. Otherwise, you're not gonna get it. I don't think there's ergothioneine anywhere else. Presumably, well, I don't know, maybe some, I wonder if nutritional yeast, which is part of the fungal kingdom, has ergothioneine. I don't think so, actually. But, yep, sorry. Find the mushrooms you like. How many grams of protein for weightlifters? Do weightlifters need more than 0.8 grams per healthy kilogram body weight? No, they don't. That's how many grams of protein you need for everybody. So Allah. Pointing grams per kilogram body weight should be good enough for everybody. What do I think about homeopathy? Asks Alyonka. Homeopathy works, but no better than placebo, meaning no better than the sugar pills that they are. But the placebo effect is very powerful. When am I coming to the Netherlands? Well, I am coming. I'm speaking in Sweden this fall, so thanks to the Swedish publisher. So isn't that kind of close by? So if you can find me a good venue, maybe I can slip over to the Netherlands. And I am out of time. I'll be back next month for both live on Facebook Q&As and here back on YouTube. So please stay tuned. Enjoy. Got lots of wonderful, cool stuff coming up in February. The whole new website. In March, we're going to have new cool motion graphics on the videos. We're going to have a Spanish language site, our first new language site, and we're going to add more languages later on. So excited for all the cool things happening this year. Not so excited about some of the other things that aren't so cool happening this year, but we'll do the best we can. Thanks, everybody. See you later.